Are you afraid of letting people in? Do you find it hard to open up, not just in romantic relationships, but also with friends and family members? Do you have your guard up, afraid that you're going to get hurt if you express yourself? The thing is, we've been through so much trauma and pain that we fear if we're open, if we're vulnerable, that we'll be rejected or even punished. But it is safe. Love can be safe, and being vulnerable can feel safe as well. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. After the stuff that we've been through, between our childhood trauma and our past relationship traumas, we can go into this hyper independence, this I don't need anyone energy. And that was one of the big ones for me. It's not that obviously deep down I was afraid to let people in because I was afraid to be hurt again. But I was in this energy of I don't need people. I suppose I was so isolated and so disconnected from the world because of the pain I'd gone through, because I'd had to walk away from so many situations, because a lot of people had to leave my physical reality. I shut down. My heart was closing and I wasn't able to let love in again. And it was only in friendships that I actually started to feel safe to open up again. But I understand how hard it is to express ourselves and to be vulnerable. This is due to past relationships and how we've actually been received before. So oftentimes we have opened up in the past. We have been vulnerable in the past. We have tried to express ourselves in the past. And we've either been shut down or punished or rejected. Now that's hard. And this has come up for me now lately. And we all go through the same stuff collectively. So I think the wound at the moment is that we're afraid to be seen. Afraid to be seen in relationships. Now that's not just romantic. That is friendship and otherwise. And, I did a breathwork session a couple of weeks ago and I got that download that I was still afraid to be seen. So I had to work on that. And then a few days after that session, I had a dream about my past experiences, which was really weird because it really brought up some raw emotions from when I was open in the past and not supported. And it's funny, the people I dreamt about from my past actually texted me last week. So all of it kind of came up at once for me, this massive wound about afraid of being seen. And this actually triggered the witch wound as well. I've spoken about the witch wound before. This is a persecution wound. So we're not just dealing with this from this life, we're dealing with it from past lives as well. That when we've been true, when we've been vulnerable, when we've been authentic, we've been punished. And obviously in past lives it was worse. People were throwing stones, people were burning us at the fucking stake. And that's, that has come up for me because I went through one of the worst things in my life back in 2014. And everyone that I thought was my support network, well, everyone except my family and a couple of friends. But like my ex at the time, he was a narc. But him and some so-called friends that I'd known most of my life, they turned against me. And they treated me like shit when I needed them the most. And, obviously I've carried this fear of being seen with me since then, because obviously another ex actually did the same. He shunned me and shamed me for my vulnerabilities. So all of the fear of being seen now is connected not only to, I suppose, my isolation and my hyper independence, but to every time I've been vulnerable in the past, it hasn't been well received. And then you go back to your childhood and you're reprimanded for crying. You're told that children shouldn't cry, or you're told to shut up, or you're just not listened to when you do express through tears. So all of this can be carried with us into the present moment. And obviously if we're in the present moment, we shouldn't be worrying about the past, but that wound can carry deep within us if we don't face it. And I said this before, we do heal in layers. So things that I've healed around being seen, I've worked through. But to have that clarity come through over the last couple of weeks that I was still afraid to be seen within relationships, it really hit home for me. And, what I've noticed lately is there's two of my girlfriends that I've been able to cry in front of lately. And when you're crying in front of a person, you really need to trust that person to be able to cry. And we're continuously, if we're crying in front of somebody, we're literally pushing the tears back in. It's like pushing the toothpaste back into the tube. It doesn't fucking work. But we're always like, I can't cry. I'm in front of somebody. But when you can actually literally let it all go and trust somebody enough to bawl your eyes out, ugly crying in front of somebody, then you kind of know, okay, I feel safe. And I think that's I suppose, that was something surprising for me, to feel that I can feel safe. Because I suppose I had this wall up, I had this barrier up. I was like, I'm not going to speak to people. I'm not going to express myself. I'm not going to tell my shit to people, because then I can't get hurt. If I don't break down the walls, no one can hurt me. If I don't say anything, no one can hurt me. But it's a lonely place to be. And I'm not lonely, I love my alone time. But I said this before, that quote, humans aren't supposed to be on their own, used to really trigger me, because I was and I'm an advocate for independence. I love independence. We should all be independent, or interdependent if we're in a relationship. And I just, that quote just kind of triggered me, humans aren't supposed to be alone. And I think the one thing that came up for me this week was, this is hard for me to even say out loud. It's okay to say that you need people. I think one of the biggest fears for me, I used to have such many codependent relationships with friends, family members, and exes. And I keep getting triggered by the fact, it's like, I don't need people because I don't need to be codependent. I don't want to be codependent again. And it freaks me out. It's like, if I let people in, I'm going to be codependent. And that's making me, block friendships. I'm close to my friends now, but there's still that block there, because it's like, I don't need anyone. And like, I finally just admitted the other day, it's actually okay to say that you need somebody, or need people, or need friends, because we actually do. And I think that was one of the biggest blocks for me lately, was literally, I kept saying, I don't need anyone. I'm fine. I fucking hate saying I'm fine. You're not fine if you say you're fine. But like, you're literally, it's okay to admit that. And I think I had such a fear of obviously getting hurt, but I have massive fears around being codependent again. And like, this is the thing, we're in this growth journey. We're on this healing journey. We're doing that work. So why are we in such fear of the past repeating? The past cannot repeat. I've said this so many fucking times. We cannot repeat the past, because the past, it's gone, but it happened to a different person. I am not the girl who suffered those things. That was an unhealed version of me. I became codependent because I wasn't fully healed. I became codependent because I was wounded. I became codependent because of my unhealthy, I suppose, relationship patterns. Do you know what I mean? Or how I felt in relationships. And those relationships made me feel unsafe. Like, looking back to my childhood and looking back to my two exes in my 20s, I never felt safe with them. I never felt safe my whole life, really. And when we feel unsafe, when we see love as something that's not safe, we are constantly going around with this barrier up, this wall of protection, saying, I don't need people, I'm fine. I don't need people, I'm fine. And it's actually such a relief just to take that wall down and just say, it's okay to need people. And humans aren't supposed to be on their own. That doesn't trigger me anymore. It actually makes me feel comfort, because now I'm starting to get the support of my friends and my community, that I'm not afraid to admit that I need people in my life. And that's not codependency. That's just human. That's natural. You know what I mean? We are stronger together. And I think that's another important thing to remember. We think we're stronger because of those walls that we have put up. We think that we're stronger because of keeping people out. We think that if we do everything on our own, that makes us stronger. It doesn't. It doesn't. And I'll say this from experience. The longer you shut people out, the weaker you get. Now, I remember this like yesterday, back in early December. It was the first time I opened up to one of my friends, and it was one of those moments where I was pushing the tears back into the fucking tube. Do you know, that kind of way? And I was like, it was hard for me to open up to that. But I realized in that moment that I needed friendship. I needed to open up. I needed to be able to be vulnerable in front of people. I needed to feel safe. And, I mentioned this before. I'd done a video called Don't Let Your Heart Turn to Stone, because that's the way it was effectively going. I was getting so closed off from the world. Yes, I could give love, but I couldn't receive it. And I felt so unsafe to feel loved or be loved. I felt love was such an unsafe thing. But my walls kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, to the detriment that it could have actually closed my heart completely, that I wouldn't have even been able to give love either. That frightened me, because one of the biggest things I've ever done is be empathic and compassionate and loving. That's who I am. If I lost that part of myself, I would have turned into something very cold. And that frightened me. That really did frighten me. And that's why that's when I realised that opening up and being vulnerable with people is actually really, it's obviously beneficial, but it made me stronger. And the more I let people in now, the stronger I feel. And I know that sounds so weird, because it's so scary. After we've been hurt so much, after we've had to walk away from so many dynamics or situations, after being in such toxic, abusive relationships, even the thoughts of letting friendship in is scary. Being expressive to family members is scary. Opening up in romantic relationships is fucking big time scary. That's one of my biggest fears, is really showing I'm not afraid to show who I am, but there's just one period of my past that really fucked me up. And that's the scariest part for me getting into a relationship, is to tell my twin flame these things, is that, like, literally it's that real vulnerable state, because I've been vulnerable and expressive about that to the people in my past, and they've literally treated me like shit. They've betrayed me, or they haven't supported me. So it's one of the scariest things for me to be completely vulnerable. But the fact that I cried with my friends lately, proper ugly cried, I'm like, okay, wait now, this is my sign that it's safe. That people are safe, and that love is safe. And it took me a long time to see that. And I understand now that I've done so much healing that I don't attract unsafe relationships anymore, or friendships. That I can feel and read energy now. So I only let in good people into my life. And I know who to trust and who not to trust. And I think just coming to the realization that the world isn't full of scary people or unsafe people has really helped me to pull that guard back down. And I'm not as scared. I'm still working on this now, because it was re-triggered yesterday, because obviously the clarity came 2 weeks ago. Tried to, heal some of that, and then the trigger happened again Sunday, because those people from my past text me. It's really weird how the universe works. I haven't heard from these people in 11 years, and I dreamt about them to remind me of the pain I went through. And then they text me for the first time in 11 years. I'm like, what the fuck? And that triggered me again. Yesterday was a very, very, the dip of the roller coaster day yesterday, to go through what I was going through, but to clear out that shit. And that's another thing. Expressing yourself is so important. We don't feel safe to cry. People have been told to suppress your emotions. If you suppress your emotions, it gets dense, it gets heavy, it's going to explode in unhealthy ways like anger and frustration. But crying is so healthy. It releases endorphins, and it can heal you in both mental and physical ways. It really is a great release. And to feel safe enough to cry in someone's presence, that's something that has made me trust again. That I can literally let my guard down, and it's okay. It's safe. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things I've discovered over the last couple of weeks, or allowed myself to discover, because I know it's been there, I just was kind of avoiding it, is that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay. Like, it takes strength to be vulnerable anyway. It's not a weakness. But when we're in this hyper independence after being hurt so much, it's not about feeling weak. It's about feeling exposed. It's like you're standing there naked in front of somebody in that complete state of vulnerability, showing yourself to them through tears or through how you speak or through opening up. And it is a scary thing when in the past you've literally been shunned or shamed or punished for speaking your truth. So it's understanding that you've done the healing, you've done the work, you've started to understand energy now, that you can't let in toxic people into your life anymore. It's just not possible. Your past can't repeat because you're not that person anymore. So the people that you're attracting into your life now, they are safe. They really are. And it's the most beautiful thing to experience after being through so much hardship, because it's different. It's different. It's different to know that there are good people, that there aren't just toxic people in the world. That it's safe to cry, it's safe to be vulnerable, it's safe to express ourselves, it's safe to be open. And when you find the right people, it is safe to lay everything out on the table, because the right people will not punish you. They will not shame you, and they will not shun you. They will support you. And I think that's the most beautiful thing you'll ever experience. So take those walls down. It really is safe to love and safe to be loved. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a free discovery call today, and I'd love nothing more than to help you on your path. Also, I'm hosting a free webinar on Friday the 12th of September at 6 p.m. Ireland UK time. I will be speaking on inner child healing, which is a very important part of our healing journey. Also, I have a new challenge called Aligning with Angie. The information is in the description box. I will be sharing a guided meditation there every week.